video segment of painting in watercolor with Laurel Hart. Today I am going to be painting a floral, which is a little bit different subject for me. I do a lot of figure and architectural things, but florals are a little different subject for me, and they're a lot of fun, but they are more challenging than they seem like they would be. And I've chosen for my floral today a photo of a little bouquet that I had put together for a shower. I was giving a bridal shower for a niece, and as I was taking the centerpieces off the table, I just thought, oh, that is so gorgeous, that sunflower. And so I took it outside and snapped some quick photos of it, and I've ended up with what I feel like is just really an appealing subject here, with this one sunflower in the sun and this other one back here in the shadows. So the thing that I kind of want to talk about today, most of all, is how to soften or push back into the background some of the area of the subject that you don't want to talk about, that you want to be more subdued and more out of the picture. And so as I paint this, I'll demonstrate a little bit about how to do that. So to begin with, as usual, I will start with a wash of a first triad, and I'm using manganese blue. And I'm going to use the cadmium yellow. I think this is a cadmium yellow light. I wish it was a cadmium yellow medium, because it's got a little more of an orange tinge to it, but maybe I'll just add a little bit of orange, because I'm going to want some of that to come forward in the painting in a little bit as the color of those beautiful petals on the sunflower. And then my red is going to be my alizarin crimson permanent. So once again, I am going to just start this whole painting covering it with a bright wash of these three triads colors, painting around these little areas of white. I know that some of you might wonder why I'm not using a liquid mask to mask out these whites, but for me it is, I just find it a little more difficult to use a mask, because it never ends up quite where I want it at the end, it seems. And so I just always end up with the whites in the wrong place, it seems. So I am just going to be painting around what I want to leave in the light. And with the little bit of experience, you can do that pretty much without a problem, as you just kind of get used to it. And as you can see, the right now, this area that's going to be in the background is still very much in a very pure color, but that will change as I get moving on here. And I don't want to, I really don't want to leave any hard edges anywhere. That's going to help me in, at least not at this point. This first wash, I just want all flat and covering everything that's not in light. Probably getting tired of me saying that, but that is the name of the game right now. I know I am going to want a little bit of this bright yellow to show through in here at one point, so I'm going to put that in there. And I'll just kind of finish up with coming around the edge of that, the hard edge of that flower. And this I just want to bleed over the edge of that. Cement thing, whatever it is. And I'm going to let this kind of just run into these other washes. Back in here, I know I'm going to want this really pure yellow, so I'm going to put that in right now. Oh, nuts. I did not want to cover up that little, that beautiful little white spot. Come back to me. How did I do that? Now I'm wishing I did mask it out. Well, we'll come back and reclaim that a little bit later then. Save some of the white of it underneath like that. Okay, I really want to get a bunch of this yellow in while that blue beneath it is still wet. And here I am now going to paint carefully around some of these white pattern things so that those will show up at the end. I want to leave these whites on this side of the flower, especially too. And I was saying I want to let that bleed down into the blue underneath there, but it's kind of almost lost that already. And it's surrounding this flower that I am really going to want to punch that color. That's going to be where my center of interest is. So at this point, I'm just painting very abstract light and shadow patterns through this. Through this flower, and I'm exaggerating the color here. I can see that there's a little bit of red in there. And up in through here. And in watercolor, you really do need to exaggerate because it does dry lighter by at least 1 degree. I need to wet my paints down a little bit here. So I'm taking a little burnt umber here and mixing that with some ultramarine blue to get a really nice dark center of the sunflower there. I don't want that to drip too far down into my really pretty color there, but I do want it to be a soft edge through there. So it's kind of bleeding down onto there. And then I really want to punch that value a little bit right up in between these petals there. So what I'm doing here kind of is setting my darkest dark and my lightest light. That will be the very darkest area of the painting right there. As that goes. Okay, let me get I don't know, somewhere the yellow down in here that some of that will have some more shadow on it that I can come in and take care of a little bit later, but I want a soft edge, so I'm going to soften that with just a little bit of water on it right there. Okay, now let's work back into the pink of this flower here. We've got that's got some light on it too. I'm going to keep softening the edges back here. I don't really want the hard edge is back here where my soft background's going to be. Okay, and back in here is going to be a dark, so okay, coming up in here and working down a little bit. I want to be sure I leave those, all of that cute baby's breath up in there. So that's what's happening in there. That's also going to get a dark background, but I want to bring that in on it. Now it is. And again, I'm still trying to punch that yellow. I keep that really, really vibrant. So, continuing on down in here, I just want to get some color on back in here and leave that little white pattern as it's going through there. And later I'll come back and define these little parts of the baby's breath a little bit better. Okay, so a little more pink back in here, I think, and leave that white there. That looks like I need to and then remember that I've got to do some foliage in there too. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a minute. Well, first let me put a little more of this pink in here on this flower. I'm going to blur the edges of that back out. Anywhere I don't want a hard edge, I'm just taking clear water and washing it away into the background. I'm going to catch the little shadow on this petal right now so I don't lose that. kind of showing the curvature of that petal. Okay. All right. I'm going to dry this with my blow dryer. And that's pretty much what I would say is the first wash here completed. That cadmium yellow is really a thick opaque paint, and I think that it maybe takes a little more effort to dry that. If you're concerned about this right in here, don't worry about that. That's going to get a darker value over it, so we're not going to have that messy hard edge there. And I'm going to start coming in with probably some darker values now, going into a second triad of ultramarine blue, still alizarin crimson permanent, and I'll draw in some green, and it's a sap green, and then the color that I use a lot in that second triad of the painting is transparent oxide red. And so I'm going to start coming back in there a little bit with some more values. I know that this is still really bright back here, but I am going to tone it down later, so I'm going to come in with it bright, and then I'll tone it down with some other washes on top of it. So sometimes I'm tempted really to just leave the painting at this stage because I love the color and I love the soft edges in places, and it's so easy to continue working and totally botching those up or tightening and tightening in until you don't have that looseness anymore, and I'm pretty famous for doing that, so I'm going to try extra hard not to on this painting. And I'm still getting tacky paint over here, so I've got to spray these down a little more. Okay. I'll go ahead and try to put in the center of the sunflower back here and let that kind of bleed out into the I don't want that to take up that whole petal there. Okay, so we've got that there. Still got some other yellow down in here that is doing something or other. That didn't make much sense, but I really will tone this down later, so don't be too concerned. We've got our pink back there, so that is still good. And I'm kind of liking the looseness of this back in here quite a lot. Still coming onto that while it's too wet. I need to let that dry a little more. I just really love how opaque that cadmium yellow is. It's so nice. Unless you don't want it opaque, and then you're in trouble. Okay. And I've got this green here that is coming down on this leaf, and maybe start punching out around that petal there. With some dark green. I don't know why, but ultramarine blue is the color that gives me the most trouble. I don't really know why that is, but I get into the most mud with that color for some reason. I'm going to kind of start to define the outline of the flower. And the vase down here. See how muddy that is? I just get mad at that color sometimes. I want to leave some of this lighter stuff to look like there's the stems showing through in the vase. So if anybody has a good replacement color for ultramarine blue, let me know. I just get mad at it. I want I just would like something that's more transparent, and I know that I could go with what is that really, really strong blue, phthalo blue, but it's just that one is just a little too strong for me. But I love how transparent it is. I want to put a touch of, I think, of the transparent oxide red, but maybe that was a mistake. I don't know. Now, so as what I was talking about, when you're wanting to keep the background so that it is not conflicting with what you really want to highlight, like this flower over here. So I'm just going to take some wet paint and run it over these leaves and stuff, so I don't totally lose the color, but I get a nice soft edge by doing so. And manganese blue is a really good blue for veiling colors, or putting a light wash over them so that they're a little more subdued. Like I'm trying to do back here, but see that petal is more to the background, so I wanna push that one back, and this one here too, and come in with a little of that shadow over. Let's go ahead and put in the center of that flower right there. Okay, so I'm trying to push this back, but not make mud back there, which is a trick. So maybe I'll try my manganese blue. So what it really amounts to is just painting the abstract patterns back there of the light and shadow, and not really letting yourself admit that that's a flower back there. It's just a lot of light and shade happening back there. And if you paint it that way, you really will end up with a more realistic looking subject than if you tried to do it by just copying detail. I'm defining things by just painting around them now. Okay, what I'm doing now is just kind of defining some of the outer edges of this sunflower that's in the background. So I want it to just be kind of hazy, so you pretty much know that it's there, but not so defined as that it's going to be as prominent as this one. And I'm just carefully painting around baby's breath out here. But wow, I'm really liking the color in this. It's just really stayed clean and fresh. That's what I love about watercolor. Okay, we need to punch more of these. More of these little baby's breaths forward. I love baby's breath. Again, I don't want to leave a hard edge there, but I don't want to muddy up my stuff back there either. So I need a nice dark green shadow on that leaf there. I don't want that hard of an edge, but it kind of has that in the photograph, but I am the boss of the photograph. Say that to yourself and do what you want. Okay, so it's coming pretty nicely through there. And I really do have a really dark here. And let's leave some of these paint behind some of these little twigs and things coming out here. And catch that edge of the leaf so it's soft and fade it off into the edge of the rectangle there. Didn't want to leave it too soft or it's going to all melt together, but that's pretty good. Okay, let's put a little bit of that indication of another petal there. And I like that it's got that kind of orange in it as well. I want to blend that back. Okay, now continue just working at balance of the shadow and light patterns in through this area. Part of my anger with that blue is it just gets so tacked up. It's making me mad. So a lot of the challenge now is just to continue to create a really nice abstract pattern throughout the rest of the painting. Without closing in on everything too much, like I was saying, I have a tendency to do sometimes. So we don't want to over-describe that baby's breath. Okay, and I'm seeing a pinker, darker pink shadow back here. And I want to leave some little painted behind stems again. Kind of coming out of there. Catch those daubs before they go too far. Okay. And again, over in here now I see. Some of this back is a little back more in shadow also. So I'll punch that back too. This might want to be a green right in here. A leaf right there or something. Okay. Just still playing with the edges and painting behind. Still feeling like there's gotta be some really dark. Behind this baby's breath again. Yeah, that's more like it. Okay, then we've got to kind of define a little better what's happening over here. And I'm trying to see what it is that's happening over here. It's really the only time I use pure pigment out of the tube is with that yellow. Because it's just so fun. Okay, let's get a few more dark little wedgy things in between stuff here. Okay, we need to define this little guy here. Okay, some of this, a bit of a green back in there. And then let's go ahead and paint behind this little business in here. where this sunflower is upside down. Okay, I think I don't want all of that. That's a little better. Okay. And I don't want a complete hard edge on either, so I'm going to soften that up a bit. Okay, and then we've got a nice dark. This painting works well to do it in pieces because it doesn't have very many areas where you've got a huge wash. So it's working nicely to just kind of do it a piece at a time. Okay, and I may decide to come back and soften these edges, but right now I'm kind of liking the pattern of that coming to a hard edge on the way there. Put some of that that'll soften the edge back a little. Maybe I didn't want it that bad, that much back. Okay. And now working, let's come in here now and work this bottom right area. And now I'll ease up that hard edge there. Oh, and I still am going to cover up that white spot whether I mean to or not. Getting pretty close, but I'm not quite there. Okay, still just defining areas back here. Okay. Over in here now we need a little bit of definition on what's going on here. Okay, it's coming together here. I don't think we better have any whites over in that area, so we'll kill that. Okay, right here. Come back with a little bit of, this is actually a leaf down in here, so I should Okay, again, I'm just kind of trying to do this without killing all my stuff here, but I've got to put some of the shadow onto this flower. And down in here, kind of difficult to get the right color on this, but so I'm quieting back just a little bit on this flower now so that not all of it is highlighted out. Okay, I think I need to accentuate that dark right up in there. And then this is coming down. I want to pull some of that stuff of the branches out. Okay, I'm almost done, I think. All right. But I do want to pull a little more of these whites out. Okay, so I've just been putting in some of the very final last darks here. Set off the vase. And now what I'm going to do is take a light wash of my manganese blue and go over this whole background here where these flowers are supposed to be in the back. And just kill those all back here with this wash. And it will still keep that identity of color back there, but it will just soften that whole area back into the background. And really let this focal area sing over here. So have a really nice diffused edge there. I want to put a little bit of that back in through here too. Just right down in there, I just feel like it needs a little bit of strengthening. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks for joining me today as we painted a floral together. I hope you learned some things about muting out the background and keeping the foreground in focus. Thank you, and we'll see you next time in one of our demonstrations.